time, I'd like to call the meeting of the Madison County Fiscal Court to order. Kenny?
Master King.
Here.
Master Barger.
Here.
Master Hughes.
Here.
Master Combs.
Here.
Judge Clark.
Here. You all have had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting. If there are no changes or discussion, a motion would be in order to approve those as submitted in your packets.
So moved.
Second.
Master King.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. We have a treasurer's report today. Glenn, I'd like to ask you to come up.
I passed out the treasurer's report for this month. It actually ends on 7/31/2013. Last month you received the financial that ended on June 30th. We ended the year with $6,009,984.29. And as of 7/31/2013, we have $5,724,756.11. Right now, our general revenues through 7/31 are at 32.9%. Our expenditures are at 7.6%. Our road fund revenues are at 11.6%. Our expenditures are at 4.5%. Jail fund revenues are 15.5%. Expenditures are at 7.2%. Revenues for the CSEP is at 3%, and the expenditures are at 1.3%. And the 911 fund revenues are at 11.7%, and the expenditures are at 8%. Does anybody have any questions about this report or about the end of the year report?
It's like we ended with a good note, so
Yes, we did.
starting with a good one too, so hopefully it'll continue.
Another good balanced budget. I'd give credit to the court and department heads and employees and everybody involved on that. Okay, we're going into order of business. First on the agenda, we have a proclamation today, Gear Up Month, and Ms. Paula Wilder is here to say a few words, I think. Paula, you want to come up to the podium, please?
My name is Paula Wilder, and I am the Associate Director for a program called Partners for Education that is at Berea College. And within that program, we have got quite a few grants that are geared towards helping our youth population get ready for college. And the largest grant we have is called the Gear Up Grant. And I don't know what you guys know about Gear Up, but through my position as the Associate Director, I travel all over the state of Kentucky. And during my travels, I talk to a lot of different people. And the more I talk to people, I realize that they don't realize about all the great work that we do through the Gear Up program. So Gear Up was born in 1999 with the intent to fund rural areas to help students raise their levels of college readiness and college awareness. So currently, you guys have a huge Gear Up program right here in the Madison County School District. So in order to create a public awareness of all the great things we do, I had an idea to work through all the judge executive offices in our 20-county service region to do a proclamation that would declare the month of September as Gear Up Month in the state of Kentucky, and the governor's office has cooperated with us on this as well. And so that's why I'm here today. Ken has been more than cooperative in assisting me with this endeavor, so on behalf of our program in Berea College, I would like to thank him for that. So when you guys hear that Gear Up is in the Madison County School District, then maybe you'll recognize it and cooperate with our programs and support us.
Thanks, Paula. Y'all doing a great job. I hear a lot of good things, and if you don't mind, I'd like to go on and read the proclamation, if that'd be
Sure.
okay with you. Whereas addressing the complex educational needs of Kentucky youth and families today is fundamental to the future of Kentucky, and whereas Kentucky students score below the national average on tests that measure college readiness in English, math, reading, and science, whereas Kentucky students drop out high school at a rate higher than the national average, whereas Kentucky students enroll at post-secondary institutions at a rate lower than the national average, and more than half of the students who do not enroll in college do not persist to graduate. And whereas these obstacles to educational and life success are directly addressed by the Commonwealth's Gear Up programs, and whereas on September 4th, 2013, 5,000 middle school students participating in Gear Up will meet at the Corbin Arena to celebrate their dedication to graduation and college success. Now therefore I, Kent Clark, do hereby proclaim September 2013 to be Gear Up Month, and urge our citizens and all our agencies and organizations interested in meeting every child's educational needs to unite during that month in the observance of such exercises as will acquaint the people of Kentucky with the fundamental necessity of the program for children and youth with educational needs and their families. Signed, Kent Clark. Paula, thank you so much. We really
Thank you.
appreciate people like you that dedicate so much of your time and energy to programs like this.
I would like to say, too, that our goal through Gear Up, and the grant runs through 2018, is to graduate 96% of our students from high school. And then we have an even more ambitious goal of graduating about 70-something% of those from college. So that's what we're working towards.
What are the high school statistics now?
I'm not really sure what the high school statistics are for Madison County. They're not as bad in Madison County as you get a little bit farther rural in the state of Kentucky. Any other questions? Senator?
Paula, will you give this to you, please?
Okay.
And again, we thank you very much.
Thank
It's good to see you. Okay, and we have somebody else today, Kentucky River Foothills update. And we try to get these on a regular quarterly basis, and I think Melissa and Brian are here today. There's Melissa, to talk to us a little bit about what's going on with the update, and everybody is aware of, we participate with Foothills in the bus service, and kind of some of the magistrates wanted to kind of get an update on that and have you here to answer any questions that they might want to ask.
Glad to. Thank you very much for asking. Ms. Skinder asked if we could make this meeting. Glad to come. I did want to introduce Brian Bassford. He might be a new face to you. Brian is our operations coordinator, and if you ever need anything that day, you need to call the office. Be glad you can reach either one of us there. So, and Brian will be my backup for questions today too. But did want to give you an update on the connector. You have supported the connector for several years now. The connector goes between Berea and Richmond, and we have a public transit loop, continuous loop in Berea, and of course we have a continuous loop here in Richmond. And it is designed to connect those stops, and we so appreciate the support that we've had. I've given you the ridership for last year and what we have for this year. To give you a little bit of idea of what people are using the route for is, of course, that's for work. It's for medical runs. We are doing dialysis, coming to school, coming to Eastern, or going to Berea College. It can go either direction. We have folks using that for adult day support. We have people going to the VA center in Berea. And sometimes they will also use the White House Clinic in Berea, and that can go each direction depending on what services they need. So those are some of the top uses that we see for them. It is a connector route that most people will call in and ask so that we know which stop they're looking for in Berea. It is not a stop that is, we don't show up at that stop every morning at 8 o'clock or anything like that. It is a call in to dispatch just the day before, at least. So, but be glad to answer any questions or tell you how that's going or anything we can help you with.
If you lived in Berea and wanted to know more about this program, how can you find out?
You can call dispatch, the 624-3236 number, and they will tell you what time we're in Berea and which stops within the community we could meet them at.
Is that the only form of advertisement that you all do for the Berea area?
We have, it's on our website. We try to do a story at least annually as we could get media support. It is not, if you're asking if I have a marketing dollars, I do not, but that is the only pieces that we have, is the public relations, the website support, and of course word of mouth.
I don't want to sound negative, but I ask throughout the community when I'm in town, different places. Nobody's ever heard of it. They don't know how to get a hold of you.
Okay.
You know, I thought at one time, and I may be wrong, that it was going to be on the website of the city of Berea or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Right.
Nobody knows. But we're paying $30,000 a year, or $32,000 really, I guess, isn't it? And I'm not saying it's not working. I know it's a good program, but if you can't market it, it's no good.
Right. Well, we'll be glad to work on that. That's no problem at all.
Well, this is the second time I brought this up, and I won't bring it up no more. The next time I bring it up, it'll be to take the funds away.
Okay. We'll be glad to work on that. Word of mouth has helped in that case a lot, but we don't mind to all ask. We can put it on more of the TV channels. I think all of those pieces are free, and we'll be glad to run some PSAs. That won't be any problem to do.
I don't even know if we have it on our website, do we?
I'll have to ask Chris. Looks like you're averaging 380 people a month.
Yes, it's on the website.
And glad for any suggestions, places that you would like to see it at, that we'd be glad for those pieces. And the media has been supportive of that. I'm sure that they would be glad for another story on those pieces. Glad to do that.
How many people do you have, right offhand, some estimate of people, say, in Berea that ride to Richmond in a day's time?
Berea makes up about 65% of our ridership.
That just going one way or going both ways?
Most people ride both ways, yes. If you need it one way, you usually need the ride home too.
Well, I'm not saying, I don't want you to think I'm trying to be negative, but
No, that's-
I know it's a good program, and I think it could be a lot better, more people. And until they find out about it, they can't
Yeah,
participate.
that's a very reasonable suggestion, I think, to ask. We don't mind to do that at all.
Well, you answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for Melissa? If not, Melissa, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it. Brian, thank you for coming in. And I'm sure you have plenty to do, so we'll excuse you. Next is resolution with the Transportation Cabinet Agreement, and this is on the Whitehall Lane out there. Everybody's familiar with that. We have talked about it, we got this quite a long time ago, and it was total $1 million, and then the state keeps $5,000, and then with the design and then the construction, we're going to advertise. No, we're advertising Wilderness Trail. This has come in, and as you all recall, we revised the bid and got down to where we can afford it with the money available. They are currently working on that. I saw when I went out to the Pops the other night. They're working on the shoulders and the path and stuff, so it's going along pretty good. The weather got to them a little bit, but we need to go on and approve this resolution adopting the memorandum of agreement between the Madison County Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky for $990,000 for the Whitehall Shrine Road from 25 to Whitehall Shrine.
So move. What was their bid that we got at the end of
They came in at $960 and we got it back down to $830, $829. Greg?
second?
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes.
I'd also like to clarify, I've had 3 or 4 ask me if that's the connector road that's already started. Connector road's a long time
I
away.
have too, Roger.
I thought, well, that's pretty quick.
That's a good place to start it, good.
So you called me and said, I thought we were going to have some more meetings on that one. I said, trust me. Okay, next, I think Carl or Michael's here. Carl's here. He's got a couple things. First, we want to award the bids on the CSEP calendar.
Should have all been in your packets, so we got it to Francette and Teresa to make sure we get it in your packets. The bid one should look like this. I don't know if they copied them in color or black and white. We only had 2 bids come in for the CSEP calendar. It's been kind of typical, 2 to 3 the last couple years. Thoroughbred Printing and Post Printing both bid it. They both have produced the calendar in the last several years that kind of, one has a sharper pencil one year and the next year the other guy wins it, is what has been happening in the last few years. This year, Thoroughbred was the best bid at $61,635. Both vendors know us well. They know our specifications. They meet all of our specifications. This is for a total of 58,700 calendars to be printed for 2014. We do it for Madison County and for Estill County. Only other additional costs will be postage which we don't have anyone bid postage because we don't want to marking it up. We pay postage ourselves, so. So 61,635 is the bid. I'd like permission to be able to award that and get them started on the final proof so that we can get it out in November like we've been doing the last several years.
Carl's recommendation, Thoroughbred Printing, award the bid.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Next is the EMA CSEP, and that's the PBX phone system bid award.
Right.
Carl.
That packet was a little bit larger that we got to the girls to get in your packets for you. It's probably about 10 sheets or so. Basically, we had 2 bidders for the admin phone system. We evaluated both the bids. We had Mission Critical Partners as our technical experts. They do phone systems all over the country. They were provided to us at no cost through FEMA in Washington. They did the analysis of the bids to all the bid requirements, did all the grading, answered all the questions, technical questions. They're technical experts in the field. And one sheet you have should show that Windstream scored 95.05 out of 10,000 possible points, and AT&T scored 5,095. So I'm not a rocket scientist, but you can figure out that somebody was a lot better in complying with the bid, and that was Windstream. As far as pricing, when you compared the prices and you just looked at 3 years service and maintenance against each other, Windstream was also slightly lower on the bid as well. When we added some things like years 4 and 5 of maintenance and having a messaging system and a conference bridging system, and then buying some spare parts so we have them in hand, the critical ones, we wound up at a bid of 404. And that came in under budget for what we had. So I'd like permission to be able to give it to Windstream. You can look at the, this, you had a sheet that looked like this, that was everything in the spec, and you can see who complied with what and understood it, and who had clarifications and who took exceptions. When you look at it, AT&T had 35 clarifications, 24 exceptions, and Windstream had no clarifications, 11 exceptions, and 1 did not answer, but they answered it in another section. They just answered it in the wrong section. But it was obvious that they were the best bid, and they have everything we want, and we've done other small projects with them, and they're good to work with. So I'd like permission to be able to award this to Windstream and get this project started.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is to set the motor vehicle and watercraft tax rate. This is 10 cents. It's been 10 cents, I guess, since they initiated a motorcraft and a boat license. We've never, ever changed it. It's the same. But we need to go on and approve that now. And while I'm talking about taxes, I'll bring you up to date a little bit. We have received every taxing district's final estimate what they're going to charge, and everybody has stayed the same or gone a little bit lower, except for the school board. And I've talked to Elmer, and he was supposed to call me last night. They were trying to schedule and get it advertised yesterday, because I told him that we must have all the tax rates in here by September 10th. It's imperative that we do that, and we've been working with Kenny in order to get these out so people can start paying their taxes the 1st of October. And if we don't, then I know we had this problem with Berea Community Schools one year, and they had to really collect their own, and it didn't go so well. I don't even think they sent the tax bill out. So I know they're working hard to get it in. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I do know that they've called a special meeting, hopefully. I didn't talk to him last night, for September 9th, and we'll have them in here to us on September 10th, so the board can hear all the tax rates, get them approved, and get them to Frankfurt so we can get on with the show, because people are very interested in getting their taxes paid as soon as possible. So that's where we are, but we do need, while we're here, to go on and approve our watercraft and motor vehicle 10 cents.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. And when we do, we'll go over last year and this year's with every tax and kind of show you. I'm really pleased. I mean, every taxing district has just, they've bitten the bullet, and we're going to do what everybody else is doing, and they're not raising taxes. So we're excited about that. And I know the county, and our compensating rate's 8.3, and it will continue to be 8.3. So that's a good thing. Next on the agenda is refinance a KECO loan for Sheriff's Department, and let me explain that a little bit. When Jerry Combs came in as sheriff, the car situation was in pretty dire trouble. They were having a lot of repairs. So what we tried to do until Jerry can build up some money and work with the drug task force and bring some money that's been accumulated through that. And Jerry was successful. He paid, we figured, one car a year. He paid the first two off. And Mike found the money in a line item to pay the third one off. And Mike is in dire need of cars. They're spending enough to buy one or two cars just on maintenance, transmissions and a motor and stuff, and these cars have got a terrible amount of miles on them. So what I'd like to ask the court's permission to do, and Glenna is talking to KECO right now, is go on and refinance that original loan so Mike can get 3 new cars now. And he will continue to abide by the contract of paying one car off a year. And that way, he's involved, the sheriff's office is involved, the fiscal court's involved, and then we'll look at his budget in November and see if there's some possible way that we can help get a few more cars, because he really needs them. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you're spending enough to buy a car on 2 or 3 old cars. So we just felt like that this would keep things going, keep an obligation to the sheriff's department, and us work with them, and then help Mike out now, and then try to help him out a little bit more at the first of the year. So I'd like the court's permission to refinance the original 4-car loan. There's 1 car left on it, to add the amount to buy 3 more and set that up on a yearly payment, with his next payment due a year from now.
I'll make a motion of that, and I'd like to commend Sheriff Cole for making the effort to go ahead and pay the 3rd car off so we'd be able to help him.
And he had to move some money around, but he did it without hurting any part of his operation, and that was a extra good deal on Mike's part. And I think we had a good. Jerry was an excellent sheriff, and we've still got an excellent sheriff in Mike. So we need to help him all we can. I mean, things are tough out there. They really are.
There's 4 cars in it instead of 3.
No, we bought Jerry 4, and he paid 1 off a year. Mike paid the 3rd one off, so we still owe for 1. So
He's only going to order 3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Thank you all very much, and Mike, I'm sure
Thank you all.
Mike appreciates it.
Appreciate it.
One thing I guess I need to put in the judge's report, we had a Herbert and Geneva Road zone change application out at Robbinsville Loop Road. As you all know, several years ago, we changed the procedure. Instead of bringing a zone change, if it was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Board and there was absolutely nobody that showed up to protest against it or was not against it, then it kind of goes right on through. We open this period up if somebody is against it, and that's what I'm going to ask. But we don't approve them anymore as long as there's no objection. But it's in accordance with KRS 100-211, where a zone change application has had no objections. The Planning Commission's recommendation shall become final, and the map amendment shall be automatically implemented subject to the provisions of KRS 100-347. unless within 21 days after the final action of the Planning Commission, any aggravated person files a written request with the Planning Commission on that final decision shall be made by the fiscal court, or the fiscal court files a notice with the Planning Commission that the fiscal court shall decide the map amendment. We have had no such letters. We have had no phone calls. I think everybody's in agreement, and it looks, just looking at the site development plan, that it's going to be really something nice for that area out there, really help them out up there. So I'd like to open it up. Are there any objections? It really says 21 days in writing, and we haven't had that. Is the court okay with the procedure that we're doing now? Everybody okay with it? Okay, then, I wanted to be sure and bring this to everybody's attention in case anybody was asked, that that's the procedure we follow now. And so, according to planning's recommendation, this zone change will go through. That's all I had. I just wanted to bring it up because they had it. Comments from department heads, anybody? Carl?
Today, we've got a weather tabletop exercise going on with the state in the regional 11 counties. I think 7 of the 11 are playing today. We're one of them. So if you hear any radio chatter, you should hear this is an exercise before it in case we're on the radios with any information. Then on the 17th, just a reminder again, 6 o'clock at night, the field decon graded exercise will be occurring at First Baptist. And then on 9/18, it'll be the full-blown EOC exercise. So just keeping that on your guys' radar screen in case you want to come and watch one of those. Just let me know so that we can make sure we have you a little badge so that you can come watch either of the activities. The field decon will start somewhere around 6 or 6:30, end somewhere around 10 p.m. And then the exercise on the 18th starts somewhere around 8:30 and end around 2 o'clock. So you don't have to sit there for all of it, obviously, but if you want to, you're more than welcome. So just wanted to bring that up to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Any other?
Comment on the tax sale, Judge. We had a tax sale last Thursday, and we brought over, April 15th, we brought over 1,900 bills. Between the 15th and the tax sale yesterday, we only had 613 to sell, and we sold 247 of those bills, leaving 366 unsold. I think that's unheard of in the state of Kentucky right now.
That's amazing.
That says a little bit about how fortunate we are here in Madison County to have the economy we have and the funds we have. There's plenty of money here for people to do what they need. When you talk about a county this size, only having 1,900 bills come over, and then we've collected all but 336 of those. It really says a lot about how fortunate we are.
That's great, Kenny. Excellent job. Any other department heads? Scott, Mike, do you have anything? Okay, comments from magistrates. Start with Greg.
It's been out, and it's good to see our road crew from the jail cleaning up our roads, and that, especially the bridgeways is too out on the state roads. I mean, they've really helped them, and I'm glad that program is working, and Doug and them's reaching out and taking care of some of the garbage on the side of the roads. I know that Eastern's back and the colleges is back, and I know a lot of the students. I wish we had a way that we could pre-educate them that we'd like to keep our county beautiful. And I don't know a lot of places where they throw their bags out, and it seems like it's a never-ending job picking up trash. But anyway, to beautify our county and to make it look good, it would be good that everybody find interest in it, that not to throw your garbage out on the side of the road, carry it home or take it to one of the restaurants and put it in a garbage can, and it would help our county stay beautiful. And I was at the Pops Park, and good turnout for that, and just seems like everything's going good in our county. Got just a few complaints on a few lots, but Dwayne's taking care of them. So other than that, that's all I got.
Thanks, Greg. Roger?
I don't have anything, Judge, other than the county's looking pretty good. I know Leroy and them's been busy trying to keep blacktop back on the roads where the water has washed it off, and that's kind of kept them from going back to mowing the edges of the roads. And I've not had that many complaints on it, and I don't know why, because it's getting outgrown. But I the ones that has asked me, I've told them, we got priorities, and the roads has got to be fixed. So some of the crew that mows has got to be out helping do that, so. Oh, I know, yeah. The amount of rain we've had, though, it just keeps
I think
going.
most people know how much they're having to mow in their yards,
Well,
3 or 4, every 3 or 4 or 5 days.
Lisa's having a whole lot of mine. You said got her new mower, by the way?
I just appreciate what everybody's done.
Okay, thanks, Roger. Bill Ray?
Yeah, this deal on substance abuse in our community and the problems it creates for overcrowded jails and its, treatment facilities are woefully inadequate in Madison County. And, I got a stunning statistic here for you that a recent, well, it was 2007 study, 43,000 people. This will stun you. 47% of the youth who consume alcohol before age 14 become alcohol dependent at some time in their life. If a youngster starts drinking alcohol before age 14, studies show that 47% of them, almost half of them, will become alcohol dependent at some point in their life, compared to 9% of the people who wait till 21. Well, which, leads us to, if we talk about prevention is so important. We need to treat people that's already got substance abuse problems, but prevention is important too. And I wanted to bring up, I've mentioned it before, Jennifer Webb brought before us here a few months ago this social host ordinance that would hold adults accountable for permitting youth to consume alcohol at their place. And to me, that's a little thing that we can do to just kind of raise the awareness and hold people accountable. And if we can just put one rock in this stream to try to slow down this dependence on or substance abuse, that's something that I'd like for us to consider doing.
Bill, let me ask you something. I think I saw, has Richmond done this?
I know some communities are doing this social host ordinance, and it should be countywide.
This is something that should be, if we're going to do it, we need to sit down with the city of Richmond, the city of Berea.
I agree.
I'm for it, but Mark and I have talked, it's the enforcement issue, and most of it goes on in town, but still you have some outside. But this is one of those key things that the three governments could come together and do, and that way it puts some teeth into it.
I like it.
And we'd have all the law enforcement agencies wouldn't have to be fighting, well, are they across the line, or are they outside the city limits? So I'm very interested in it too, and it's a great program, but Mark, we'll kind of check with Rich and Bree and see if they're interested.
Sure, I'm glad to prepare something. Jennifer has provided some model ordinances that are probably pretty close, but I think you're right. If you're going to do this, you need to make sure that both of the cities are doing this.
Exactly.
That way you can't run to somewhere else to get away from what you're doing right now. And so you may want to poll the mayors just to see what they're doing and if they have any interest in it. We should do separate ordinances, of course, but they could be identical.
Do identical, but we have the same
For
thing.
it to work, I think it would have to be the cities included.
Good point, Bill Ray. We will check on that. I see Barnes every day. Larry?
How many we got in jail today, Doug? 280. And how many you got out on? 65.
Larry, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually contacted Doug, a couple weeks ago. He just said, give us a list of people that have been over there for quite some time on misdemeanors or charges that we might find some beds. There were very few that met the criteria for some kind of misdemeanor release. There's a whole lot of felons, either pretrial or convicted, that are over there. Because we made an effort. And we got 15, 20 out. It's a solid number.
We had a big number back then, like 306 on Saturday morning.
A lot of egg sandwiches, isn't it?
Going on.
What about our truck? I see you're in court. You didn't head to London.
I spoke with our contractor this morning, and they're finishing up some wiring on it. We'll be wiring it tomorrow.
That's good. I just wanted to make sure that Billy understood that, because I told him you was headed to get it. So I apologize. Other than that, I don't have anything. Just glad to be here, Judge.
Okay, glad to hear. Anybody from the audience? Debbie?
Gentlemen, it's really good to hear all these encouraging things when I come to this meeting. I can truly say on behalf of Madison County Tax Watch, in the 2 years plus that we've existed, I won't say never, but we've barely ever had a comment or a tip to the negative about the fiscal court. The stewardship is there. These people who sit here, they are truly interested in their people and their community, not just when they come in this room, but all the rest of the time as well. And I'm proud to say that. I'm really, really proud. Thank you, Judge Clark, about the update about the taxing districts, because I was going to ask that. It's really telling, though, that the Board of Ed has scheduled a last-minute meeting, either saying that the people who sit on that board are not recognizing their responsibility to make a public announcement that they're holding taxes flat, or they are going to plan on raising them, is what that meeting is telling me. So with that being said, the tax group, the two co-leaders, which are myself and Sherry Teeley, have met with Elmer Thomas 2 weeks ago. It was a very encouraging meeting, as we had a list of 25 cost-cutting measures for 2 years running that we'd given to Tommy Floyd, and not a one had been discussed or acknowledged. Not surprising. But we have a glimmer of hope here, because Elmer Thomas sat down with us for an hour and a half and went through that list. And he'd acknowledged that many of those items he had begun to work on as far as cost cutting. Yet, I always hold out my judgment on what is to happen, because he does not make that vote for the Board of Ed happen. There are 5 reps there that are very unpredictable, except for 2 of them. So I'm saying that 3 of them are very unpredictable. And, well, maybe not so, because we know that the tiebreaker is Mona Isaacs, and she always goes the way of spending the money. So with that being said, I'm asking you to seriously consider, if you get a tax hike from them that they vote on this coming 9th, that you please would consider rejecting it, because that is not respectful to the economic climate and the people that have been furloughed, lost jobs, and the families that are struggling. I'm not speaking for myself personally right now. I'm retired. But there are also people on fixed incomes who cannot deal with the tax bills that were going up for years. Board of Ed has raised taxes every year since 1990, except for last year. If they are creative and they are keeping to their word, then the superintendent can exert influence over them to keep the taxes flat again for the second year and cut those costs and make his ends meet. I thank you for considering this.
Debbie, let me just say one thing, and we talk
Yes,
about
sir.
it every year, you know, and we've had members that have voted against, but the fiscal court really has no authority whatsoever to reject a tax that's sent here from the taxing district. I mean, it's in the law that we listen to them and we approve them. We've had masters vote against them before, but we have no authority to reject. I mean, once that taxing district board votes for that rate, then that is the rate. Now, we can get up and make speeches and, you know, ask them, you know, why can't you do this or that, but we have no authority to reject the tax.
I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying to you is just an exercise in civilian rights here. With that being said, the tax group will get out as many people as they can to that meeting, and hopefully it will be just like last year's meeting. No one will say anything but stop raising our taxes. And I thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you
Your
very
group
much.
would have more influence than this court. I can assure you that. And as far as, and Judge Clark's exactly right, I voted against it. But it's not in their hands. I wish it was, but it's not.
So if we appeal to Mr. Edelin, is he able to influence the change of that in the state of Kentucky for fiscal courts?
That'd be a general assembly, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that,
It would be, and of course, that was kicked around with the revisions to the taxing district legislation last year. Obviously, that was not implemented, but I think the key for some folks that are interested in this is having the ground established, and that's been done now, and it's probably a work in progress, is my hunch.
I'd be really glad to have that happen. Thank you for the information. God
Thank you
bless.
very much. We
thank you for the
appreciate you
kind
coming in.
words.
Debbie, just for your information, the last conference that we just went to, one of the training sessions was on this subject, part of it was, and there was 4 or 5 different courts. People got up and said, we don't know what to do. We don't know whether to vote on it or if it's legal to vote on it. And I informed them that we don't vote on it, that we just acknowledge that we've received it from them, and they said that's exactly all you can do, is acknowledge that you've received it. You cannot, they didn't say you couldn't vote on it, they said you shouldn't, because your vote has no power to them as far as that goes.
Thanks, Debbie. Anybody else from the audience? Yeah, Buzz?
Buzz Cable, Richmond Fire Chief, 911 Board Director. I just want to play off what Carl was speaking about earlier about awarding the bid. It's been a long process trying to get our 911 equipment updated. I've been 911 Board Chairman for 2 years, and this was an old project when I started, so it's been about 5 years trying to get this done. So yesterday, I actually signed a contract with Windstream to start ordering equipment for our 911 system. So in 90 days, we should be starting the install for our new equipment. The system we have is going on 12 years old. Anybody that's familiar with computer equipment realizes that 12 years on a computer or a computer system it's a long time. You know, it's amazing that the system has lasted as long as it has. But moving forward, we have a plan in place to take care of this problem. We built in up to 5 years worth of warranty into it. So moving forward, we're going to have a good system for at least 5 to 6 years before we have to start looking at replacing again.
Is this system, is it next generation 911?
Yes.
It is? Okay, because they had a training on that as well, and I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of that
It's,
until I heard it, that
yeah.
you can text or whatever and get
Yes.
911.
And if it, I know Carl is planning some changes in his building, and the 911 center was either going to move or stay where we are. So we've designed the system that if we have to move, or if we do move into the EOC, that the system is going to be able to be separated. We can move part of it today. We'll still have 911. We'll move the rest of it the next day. Thank you.
Buzzy. Okay, anybody else from the audience? If not, I'll try this one more time. Court date September the 10th in Berea. If anybody's got a calendar, they want to look at it. See if I'm right or wrong. But it'll be the 10th in Berea. And if no further announcements, a motion be in order to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes. Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. We appreciate it. And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.